The delegates sat frozen as Admiral Tak finished his speech. The alien's 8 translucent tentacles waved dismissively at the human representatives. His gelatinous body pulsed with different colors as he spoke through the translation device. "Your civilization is barely worth acknowledging," Tak said, his voice artificially converted to human speech. "You've only reached your own moon and sent primitive probes to nearby planets. Many Federation species mastered interstellar travel before they developed written language." Commander Sunhan gripped the edge of the table, her knuckles white. She was Earth's most experienced diplomat, chosen specifically for this historic first contact, but nothing had prepared her for such open mockery. Around them, the Grand Chamber stretched in a vast circle. Representatives from 37 alien civilizations occupied raised platforms. Some resembled insects with multiple limbs, others were more like reptiles or birds, and a few defied easy comparison to Earth creatures. Now they all made various sounds of amusement, clicks, whistles, and rumbling vibrations that the translation system identified as laughter. "Look at their faces," gurgled a slug-like representative. They actually believed they would be welcomed as equals. Han maintained a neutral expression despite the burning humiliation. 6 months of communication had led to this meeting, with the Federation seeming friendly and curious. Now the truth was clear. They had only been playing with Earth. Admiral Tak's skin shifted to a deep purple as he continued. "The Federation Council has voted unanimously. Earth is now classified as a protected primitive species. You are forbidden to expand beyond your solar system. Any attempt to develop faster-than-light technology will result in immediate intervention." The human delegation, 6 representatives from Earth's major powers, exchanged worried glances. This was worse than they had feared. "We accept your guidance," Han said carefully, "and look forward to learning from the Federation's wisdom." "How gracious," Tak replied with what might have been a smirk. "You'll be escorted to your quarters. We'll continue discussions tomorrow about the restrictions on your technological development." Later, in their assigned living space aboard the massive Federation station, the Earth team gathered around a small table. The room was uncomfortably designed for bodies unlike their own, with strange angles and surfaces at awkward heights. Lieutenant Min Park paced angrily. He was the youngest of the group, representing the United Asian Alliance. "They brought us here just to laugh at us. All that talk about cultural exchange was lies." "Control yourself," said General Wilson, the North American representative. "The walls almost certainly have monitoring devices." Commander Han calmly reached into her pocket and placed a small black disc on the table. It emitted a soft hum as a blue light pulsed on its surface. "Signal jammer," she explained. "It should give us privacy for a few minutes. Their technology is advanced, but not magic." "Clever." Dr. Nazari from the Middle Eastern Coalition nodded approvingly. "We should use this time wisely." Han looked around at her team. "This humiliation may be unpleasant, but it serves a purpose. While they mock us, they also underestimate us. That gives us the opportunity to observe and gather information." "About that," said Engineer Jin Kim, the delegation's technology specialist. He had been silently working with a handheld device since they entered the room. "I've detected something strange." Everyone turned to him as he projected a holographic display showing wave patterns. "These are encrypted transmissions I captured during the meeting. They're using a frequency that bypasses the main communication network." Kim pointed to certain patterns in the data. "And based on my analysis, they're specifically discussing Earth, not just our current status, but historical data going back thousands of years." "What does that mean?" asked Representative Okafor from the African Union. Han's eyes narrowed. "It means the Federation isn't being entirely truthful about their knowledge of Earth. They're presenting themselves as new discoverers of our planet, but these transmissions suggest they've known about us for much longer." "Could explain why they brought us here just to mock us," Park said. "They already knew exactly what they wanted to do with us." "Or," Han said thoughtfully, "they're hiding something about Earth's past that they don't want us to know." Kim's device suddenly beeped. The jammer's effectiveness is degrading. They're actively scanning for disruptions. Han nodded. Everyone act natural. We'll continue this discussion later. She deactivated the jammer and raised her voice slightly. I'm sure after we demonstrate our willingness to learn, the Federation will treat us with more respect. As the team dispersed to their assigned sleeping areas, Han caught Kim's eye and nodded slightly. Something wasn't right about the Federation's story, and she intended to find out what they were hiding. 50 years before humanity's humiliation at the Federation Council, Professor Minli stood in the silent United Nations chamber. Dark circles marked her eyes after weeks without proper sleep. The room was locked down, with all electronic devices removed and guards posted outside. The signals are unmistakable, she said, pointing to the data displayed on the screen behind her. We detected them first from our deep space array in Antarctica, then confirmed with observatories in Chile and Hawaii. The Security Council members leaned forward, their faces tense. The signals originate from the Kuiper Belt beyond Neptune. They show patterns that cannot be natural. The mathematical sequences are too precise, too ordered. Professor Lee took a deep breath. We are not alone in our solar system. Something intelligent is out there, and based on the signal patterns, they have been watching us for a long time. The room erupted in whispers until the Secretary General raised his hand for silence. How certain are you, Professor? The probability of these being natural phenomena is less than 1 in 10 billion. We are being observed. Within 3 months, the world's major powers made an unprecedented decision. For the first time in human history, national rivalries were set aside for a greater purpose. The Sanctuary Initiative was created with a single mission: prepare humanity for possible contact or conflict with an alien civilization. The project began with the secret capture and hollowing of a dwarf planet located in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Public space programs served as cover, while the real work happened beyond sight. The best scientists, engineers, and military minds were quietly recruited, their disappearances explained by research assignments in remote locations. For 5 decades, resources were channeled into the project through hidden budget lines and private corporations created solely for this purpose. The secrecy was absolute. Fewer than 300 people on Earth knew the full scope of Sanctuary. Now, aboard the Federation station, Commander Sunhan sat alone in her sleeping quarters, a tiny encrypted device in her palm. The message from Admiral Zhu had arrived hidden in what appeared to be a routine diplomatic update from Earth. Han had recognized the old code immediately. Admiral Zhu had been her mentor at the Global Space Academy. What Han hadn't known until this moment was that Zhu was also one of Sanctuary's founding members. The message was simple: coordinates, followed by 4 words: time to come home. Han's heart raced. Through 50 years of secret development, humanity had been preparing for this moment. While Earth presented a face of relatively basic space technology to the world, Sanctuary had developed in complete isolation, unseen and unknown even to advanced alien monitoring systems. She gathered her team in their common area, activating the signal jammer once more. We need to leave, she said simply. Tonight. Lieutenant Park looked confused. Leave? We're on a space station surrounded by the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. I have coordinates to a place the Federation doesn't know exists, but we need to create a diversion to reach the shuttle bay undetected. Dr. Song, the team's medical officer, had been secretly scanning the station's systems using modified medical equipment. Their security is impressive, but I found a weakness. The waste processing unit on Level 4 uses automated systems with minimal monitoring. A small explosion there would trigger containment protocols. Casualties? Han asked immediately. None if we time it correctly. The area is unmanned during the night cycle, but it would force an emergency response that would draw security away from the hangars. Engineer Kim nodded. I can modify our communications device to overload their waste management systems. It would look like an equipment malfunction. Han looked at each team member. This is voluntary. Anyone who comes with me will be disobeying direct orders from Earth's official government. As far as the world knows, we're supposed to be diplomatic representatives. One by one, they nodded their agreement. What exactly are we leaving to find? General Wilson asked. Humanity's insurance policy, Han answered. Something called Sanctuary. That night, as the station's night cycle reached its midpoint, a sudden explosion rocked Level 4. Alarms blared as emergency containment shields activated. Security personnel rushed toward the affected area while automated announcements instructed residents to remain in their quarters. In the confusion, 6 humans in Federation Station uniforms moved quickly through the corridors toward the shuttle bay. Their access badges, reprogrammed by Kim, opened the necessary doors. 17 minutes until they restore security systems, Song whispered, checking her timer. They reached the hangar with 10 minutes to spare. Their shuttle, originally meant for diplomatic travel between the station and larger vessels, had been subtly modified during routine maintenance checks. Kim had added shielding to prevent long-range tracking. As Federation forces contained the accident, the small human shuttle slipped away from the station, its departure logged as a routine waste disposal run. Only when they were far from the station did Han input the coordinates from Admiral Ju. The small craft adjusted course and accelerated toward the asteroid belt, vanishing into the darkness of space. After 3 days of travel, their shuttle approached what appeared to be just another gray dwarf planet among thousands in the asteroid belt. It looked completely ordinary, cratered, dusty, and lifeless. Are you sure these coordinates are correct? Park asked, peering at the unremarkable rock floating before them. Han nodded, her eyes fixed on the approach. Admiral Ju was very specific. As they drew closer, Kim studied the readings. There's nothing unusual showing on any scanners. No heat signatures, no energy readings, no sign of habitation. The shuttle continued its approach until they were less than a kilometer from the surface. Han opened a communication channel and transmitted a series of numbers, the authentication code from Ju's message. For several moments, nothing happened. Then suddenly, the surface of the planet directly ahead of them began to change. What had appeared to be solid rock shimmered and dissolved like a mirage. A massive opening appeared, revealing a brightly lit hangar large enough to accommodate ships many times their size. Optical camouflage, Kim whispered in awe. On a planetary scale. Automated guidance systems took control of their shuttle, pulling them gently inside. The great doors closed behind them, the realistic projection of barren rock returning seamlessly. When the shuttle settled onto the landing platform, they saw dozens of people in uniforms moving purposefully around the hangar. The design of the uniforms wasn't familiar, not matching any Earth nation or organization they knew. Those ships, General Wilson said, pointing to several sleek vessels lined up in the distance. I've never seen anything like them. As the team exited their shuttle, they were met by a tall woman with silver hair cut in a practical style. Despite her age, she stood straight-backed and moved with the confidence of someone used to command. Commander Han, she said with a slight bow. I'm Director Choi. Admiral Ju informed us of your arrival. Welcome to Sanctuary. After brief introductions, Director Choi led them through a series of wide tunnels that sloped gently downward. They passed checkpoints with advanced security systems, moving deeper into the dwarf planet. How big is this facility? Dr. Nazari asked as they walked. Sanctuary isn't a facility. Director Choi replied with a small smile. It's a city. They emerged onto a balcony overlooking a vast open space that took their breath away. Below them stretched an enormous cavern, at least 20 kilometers across. But what stunned them wasn't the size. It was what filled it. A complete city spread before them, with tall buildings, wide avenues, parks with real trees, and transportation systems moving people efficiently in all directions. The entire interior of the dwarf planet had been hollowed out and transformed into a self-contained world. Above, where the sky should be, a massive curved screen displayed a perfect view of the space outside, creating the illusion of being on a planet with an atmosphere rather than inside a rock. Currently, Sanctuary houses just over 250,000 people. Director Choi explained, "We're still growing." "How is this possible?" Han asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The resources needed, the technology." For 50 years, while Earth maintained the appearance of a struggling young civilization, just reaching for the stars, we've been building this. Every nation contributed their best scientists, engineers, and resources, all in absolute secrecy. Over the next hours, Director Choi gave them a tour that challenged everything they thought they knew about human technological advancement. They visited laboratories where scientists manipulated gravity fields with simple hand gestures. They saw manufacturing facilities producing materials that shouldn't exist according to publicly known physics. "We've developed artificial intelligence systems that make Earth's public technology look like children's toys," Choi explained as they watched robots constructing components with microscopic precision. "And we're in the final testing phase of our faster-than-light drive." Han stopped walking. FTL. But the Federation specifically monitors for that technology. They claim it's one of the benchmarks for a species being advanced enough to join them. "Exactly," Choi said with a knowing look. "They don't want competition." Their final stop was a heavily guarded vault deep in the administrative section. Inside, displayed in a specialized containment field, were objects that appeared both ancient and impossibly advanced. Tools, devices, and fragments of larger machines. 30 years ago, a research team in Antarctica discovered these buried under 2 miles of ice, Choi explained. They're human-made artifacts, dating back 40,000 years. But they show clear evidence of alien modification and influence. She activated a holographic display showing detailed scans and analysis. "The Federation has been to Earth many times before. They've harvested our resources, interfered with our development, and erased evidence of their presence." Han stared at the artifacts, understanding dawning on her face. "So when they call us primitive, they're actually seeing the results of their own interference," Choi finished. "We aren't naturally behind. We're recovering from deliberate suppression. And now, thanks to Sanctuary, we've caught up faster than they could have imagined." 3 days after Han and her team arrived at Sanctuary, the alarm sounded. Commander Han rushed to the command center with Director Choi. The large central screen showed 13 Federation ships appearing suddenly in nearby space. "How did they find us?" Han asked, watching the approaching vessels with growing concern. "They didn't, not exactly," replied Chief Security Officer Min. "They detected energy spikes from our latest FTL drive test. They're investigating the area, but they don't know about Sanctuary yet." The largest ship at the center of the Federation fleet was massive, at least 5 kilometers long, with a distinctive design that marked it as a military vessel. Federation writing along its hull identified it as the Dominant Will, Admiral Tech's flagship. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," reported Lieutenant Kang from the communication station. Director Choi nodded. "Put it on screen." Admiral Tech's familiar form appeared. His translucent tentacles waved in what Han now recognized as agitation. "Attention, unidentified energy source. This is Admiral Tak of the Galactic Federation. We have detected unauthorized technology testing in this sector. This violates the Protected Species Protocol established for Earth. Identify yourselves immediately or face obliteration." The command center fell silent. 50 years of secrecy had led to this moment. Everyone looked to Director Choi, who stood calmly, her silver hair gleaming under the lights. "It's time," she said simply. She turned to Han. "Your team discovered their lies. You should be part of this." Han nodded, honored by the trust placed in her. Director Choi activated the communication system. "This is Director Choi of Sanctuary. We acknowledge your presence, Admiral Tak." On screen, Tak's body pulsed with dark colors. "Humans? Impossible. Identify your location immediately." "That won't be necessary," Choi replied. "We'll show you." She nodded to Chief Min, who entered a command sequence. Outside, The massive camouflage system that had hidden Sanctuary for 5 decades began to power down. Through the command center's viewing window, Han watched as the false image of a barren dwarf planet shimmered and dissolved. In its place stood the true Sanctuary, a massive hollowed planetoid bristling with technology, its surface dotted with defense platforms, communication arrays, and docking ports for ships larger than anything Earth had publicly acknowledged possessing. On screen, Admiral Tech's tentacles writhed in shock. This is impossible. Human technology cannot achieve this level of advancement. You've stolen this technology. No, Admiral. Director Choi replied calmly. Everything you see was developed by humans. While you mocked our public face, we built this in secret. This facility violates your species classification. Tech's voice rose with anger. Surrender immediately. Deactivate your systems and prepare to be boarded. The Federation ships began moving into attack formation. Weapon systems powered up, their energy signatures detected by Sanctuary sensors. They're targeting our main hangar and power generation systems, reported Security Officer Min. Director Choi's expression hardened. Activate defense grid. Protocol Epsilon. Throughout Sanctuary, specialized systems came online. Unlike the weapons the Federation expected, these didn't target the ships for destruction. Instead, precise energy beams struck key points on each vessel, disabling weapon systems and engines, but carefully avoiding life support or other critical systems. Within 30 seconds, all 13 Federation ships hung motionless in space, completely neutralized without a single casualty. What have you done? Admiral Tak demanded, his color shifting to a pale blue that Han hadn't seen before. She wondered if it indicated fear. We've temporarily disabled your offensive capabilities. Director Choi explained. Your crews are unharmed. Life support and environmental systems remain functional. She turned to Lieutenant Kang. Initiate ancestral protocol. Kang's fingers flew across his console, broadcasting on all Federation frequencies, using their own communication network as a carrier. They can't block it. The massive data package that Sanctuary had prepared over decades began streaming to every Federation world, ship, and outpost. It contained irrefutable evidence of their previous visits to Earth, ancient human artifacts modified with alien technology, historical records recovered from hidden sites around Earth, genetic analysis showing deliberate manipulation of human development, and evidence of resource extraction dating back thousands of years. What are you doing? Tak demanded as his own screens filled with the information. Telling the truth, Han replied, stepping forward. The Federation has visited Earth many times before. You've taken our resources, interfered with our development, and erased the evidence. These are fabrications, Tak protested. The artifacts were found in Antarctic ice, preserved for 40,000 years. Director Choi countered. Your own technology left signatures we've learned to recognize. On dozens of Federation worlds, citizens viewed the unexpected broadcast with growing shock. The feed couldn't be blocked because it used security backdoors in the Federation's own communication systems, backdoors that Sanctuary technicians had discovered and exploited. Academic specialists on multiple worlds confirmed the authenticity of the evidence. Federation historians recognized patterns consistent with previously documented exploitation of other worlds. You've kept us primitive deliberately, Han said, facing Admiral Tak. And now you'll answer for it. 1 week after the confrontation at Sanctuary, Commander Han stood in the great circular chamber of the Federation Council. No human had ever addressed the full council before. Representatives from all 37 Federation species watched from their designated areas, their voices creating a constant hum of conversation. The chamber quieted as Admiral Tyke entered. His normally vibrant colors were muted, his tentacles moving slowly. 4 armed guards followed him, not for protection, but as his escorts. His status had changed dramatically since the revelation. This emergency session will now begin, announced the council speaker, a tall being with feathered wings. We gather to address the evidence presented by the human civilization and the unauthorized actions of certain Federation officials regarding Earth. Admiral Tak moved to the center platform. "The humans deceived us all," he bellowed, his translator making his voice echo through the chamber. "They built illegal technology and hid their true capabilities. They should be punished, not heard." Han stepped forward, standing tall beside him. "No," she said calmly. "We protected ourselves while learning the truth about your previous visits to our world." She gestured, and the central display activated, showing evidence that had now been verified by Federation scientists. The images showed ancient mining operations on Earth dating back thousands of years. Laboratory reports confirmed genetic tampering with early human populations. Historical records, hidden in Federation archives, but now exposed, detailed resources extracted from Earth, and the deliberate collapse of promising human civilizations that had developed too quickly. The Federation, or at least certain powerful members, have visited Earth many times, Han continued. "You took our resources, changed our development, and erased the evidence. When we finally reached space on our own, you classified us as primitive and restricted our growth." Murmurs spread through the chamber as representatives from smaller Federation species exchanged glances. Many had suspected similar treatment of their own worlds, but had never found proof. "Director Choi wishes me to inform the Council that Sanctuary is not our only achievement," Han said. She activated another display showing 6 additional installations throughout the solar system. On Mars, Venus, several moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and deep within the Kuiper Belt. Each house technologies the Federation had claimed humans couldn't possibly understand. "We have developed these capabilities independently, despite your interference," Han said, "and we have done so without the aggression that marks the Federation's history." The Council speaker raised a wing for silence. "The evidence has been verified by independent experts from 12 worlds. It appears certain Federation officials, including Admiral Tak, have violated our most sacred principles regarding developing worlds." Within 3 days, representatives from the Volari, Nezdak, and Keplan species, all relative newcomers to the Federation, requested formal alliances with Earth. They too had suspected manipulation of their development. The power balance within the Federation shifted dramatically as more evidence emerged of systematic exploitation. Admiral Tak and 6 other high-ranking officials were removed from their positions pending further investigation. The treaty classifying Earth as a protected primitive species was formally dissolved. 1 month later, Han returned to the Council chamber. This time, she came as Earth's official ambassador. Director Choi had asked her to represent both Earth and Sanctuary in the negotiations for humanity's new place in the galactic community. "Humanity acknowledges the Federation's apology for past actions," Han said, addressing the Reformed Council. "We accept your offer of full membership status." She paused, looking around at the assembled representatives. "But understand this, humanity will join the galactic community as equals, not as subjects. We will share some of our technological developments openly. Others will remain our own." The Council speaker bowed in acknowledgement. "The Federation accepts these terms. We have much to learn from each other." In the months that followed, Sanctuary transformed from a hidden fortress to an open port for interstellar travelers. For the first time, ships from a dozen worlds docked at the station that humans had built in secret. Cultural exchanges began, and trade negotiations were established on equal terms. Earth itself changed too. The truth about Sanctuary became public knowledge, leading to celebrations in cities worldwide. The unified purpose that had created Sanctuary now expanded to connect the entire human species. Yet Director Choi and the Sanctuary leadership remained cautious. In meetings closed to Federation representatives, they authorized the construction of a new generation of hidden cities. Far beyond Neptune, deep in the Oort cloud where comets formed, automated systems began the slow work of hollowing out larger asteroids. These would be humanity's insurance against future threats from the stars. Commander Han watched from the observation deck as a Federation diplomatic vessel departed Sanctuary. She thought about how quickly things had changed, from mockery to respect in just a few weeks. The species that had once laughed at humanity now understood an important truth. Underestimating humans was a dangerous mistake they would not make again.